This video is intended to specifically help anyone who's looking to go to university in Spain, more specifically Madrid. My name is Danielle. I've been living in Madrid, Spain for a little over a year and a half at this point, and I have a very big forewarning for anyone that wants to come out here, especially to be a student. In this video, we're going to be touching on a few of very important aspects of actually applying to university out here in Spain in terms of logistics, what it looks like, the whole process of everything, and some universities that I 100% would not recommend. And by the way, the list of options that I'm going to be giving you are things that are tailored to me specifically. What I feel is best for me may not be what's best for you, and I don't want you to think that the options that I'm giving you are a full representation of everything that Madrid has to offer, least of all Spain. So this is what we're working with here, and if you can relate to any of this, then this video is definitely going to be for you, and let's get into it because at this point I'm rambling. First thing you need to know about applying to universities out here in Spain. For the love of all things good and holy, start early. Start a year before you even come out here. Bureaucracy, excuse my French, is a bitch. She is a whore on a slow Friday night. It doesn't get worse than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is rough. It's not a pleasant sight to see. You want it to be done with as quick as possible and you feel a bit of pity for it. You know what I mean? It's something that no one really emphasizes to the degree that I'm trying to emphasize for you right now, but you get the metaphor. It is such a stressful process, especially as an American who we're very used to having a specific type of government. We're very used to having things done in a certain fashion, meaning they're quick, they're decisive, and it's very, very expedited. And they will genuinely care about the process to such a degree that they will follow up with you to ensure that you're doing everything by the books and nothing slips through the cracks. So when I was applying for university, for example, in the States, there was a lot of communication that I had with not only the university itself, but they also put me in contact with different people from the university. I went to the University of Pittsburgh. It was a very rah-rah big kind of community where people were like, oh yeah, hail to Pitt. This is an amazing school. These are the things you need to know about. These are all the extracurriculars, school spirit and all that jazz, rah-rah. Like, it was all that. It was everything you saw in movies. It was a lot, but it was also great because you constantly were in communication with these schools, with these people. You felt like you knew what was going on, and the process to actually get in was very simple. It is not that way in Spain. The government gets involved because you need to have a visa, because obviously you are an American, you're spending an extended period of time in a different country. It's not like you're just going to a separate state. And the swift, easy feeling that you may get upon applying to a university is not going to be the same swift, easy feeling you get dealing with bureaucracy. Because, as you may remember, bureaucracy is a bitch. And at the end of the day, it really just comes down to you just having to submit paperwork and making sure that you have everything submitted that you need to submit. So it's not like it's this big stressful process and you need to hire 15,000 lawyers to actually get it all done. I was able to do it and I hired 0 lawyers, but it is a very stressful process in the sense of the waiting time. Like, at least as it stands right now, they only do a mass evaluation of all the inbound student visa applications twice a year, like every 6 months. And maybe this is just what they told me because I went in person and they don't want to have to deal with it, or maybe it's because of the type of visa I'm applying for, or it was the specific office that I was at. But however it shakes out, the general point remains that everything takes a very long time. And you need to be ready for that because applying for university is actually quite simple if you look at the checklist items. But the thing that is not simple is the waiting time. And this is where things can get very stressful, especially if you need to be out of the country at a certain time or you need to be in this country at a certain time. You don't want to overstay your welcome and you don't want to feel like, oh, I'm illegal, I shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. So waiting for the actual physical visa to come in is very stressful, just in terms of how long it takes. So please, from me to you, mentally prepare yourself for that. And logistics aside, applying for university out here is quite simple, it's quite easy, but there are a few universities that I would not recommend to my worst enemy. The first university I would say do not waste your time with is a university called Schiller. Now, I was actually very excited about going to this university because on paper, it looked fantastic. On the outside, it was on a very well-known street in Madrid. It was very close to everything that I knew and that I liked. And I thought, okay, this could be good. Upon arriving, I was very happy that I actually did do a tour of the campus because A, it kind of reminded me of them just buying out an office building and then calling it a day. Like, it was way too too corporate for my liking, but also B, it was very small. Like they only rented out half of the office building, if you catch my drift. There wasn't a lot of classrooms from what it looked like, and there weren't a lot of students from what I saw. And when they showed me the library or the study area, I literally wanted to leave right then and there. It was probably one of the saddest things that I'd ever seen. And I'm not saying that because I came from the University of Pittsburgh and I had this amazing cathedral of learning and we had these amazing libraries and resources, etc. Like, I know that I came from a very privileged university. I'm not trying to say, oh, everyone else is beneath me because of this experience. No. But I am saying that for the dues that they were asking, it was not worth it, in my opinion. And if you are going to be spending a certain amount of money, I feel like you're entitled to certain kind of luxuries that they just weren't equipped to give. And the same can be said about CIS University as well. When I went to CIS, it did genuinely remind me of a dollhouse, just in the sense that I've been to homes in the US, middle class homes, that felt bigger than this university. Like, again, I don't come from money. I'm not secretly wealthy and like, oh, I'm an heiress to whatever. No, I'm an heiress to nothing. But I do have friends that have had homes bigger than this university. And they weren't even that rich, if I may add. And I'm not saying this to crap on any small university. Like, you can be the size of a pencil case, and as long as you have amazing resources, then that's fine. I'm very happy that the pencil case is working for you. But again, for the dues that the university was asking and for the amenities that they were providing, it didn't feel very worth it, because I actually think my middle school was better stocked than this university. And I even heard stories of former students that have gone to this university, and they were complete horror stories that just added to the lore of it, and it completely turned me off. I don't remember the story in amazing specifics, but a group of friends of mine started this company called the Intellect because they basically wanted to help people from all around the world get into university in the EU. They helped the student get into CIS, and then they heard from this student that they felt like they were not only led on because the university promised so much more in terms of the sports amenities, in terms of the quality of education, but they felt like they were cheated because they said that the professors took their jobs way too seriously, made everyone turn in their phones, like they couldn't have their phones even during class. But then the professors themselves didn't even feel like they were fully into the conversation, into the lecture. So it's like, why are you making us do all of these extra things if you yourself aren't even that invested? And the student ended up even transferring out, I think a semester later, so they didn't stay there very long at all. So if you are an American or you're just not from Spain and you are looking to go to a university in Spain, especially one of these two universities that I've just mentioned, please make sure you do your own due diligence. Like, you don't have to just take my word for it, but actually tour the campus. Make sure that it is a good fit for you, because I'm the first one to admit that I didn't tour the University of Pittsburgh before I went there. I got in, I thought, oh, this is cool, but it's also 6 hours away. Because when I did actually do the tour, I was already admitted, I was already accepted, I was already going. So in the US, some of us view it kind of differently. At least I did, because when you have a certain university with a certain name, a certain prestige, then you're just expecting certain kind of amenities. But out here in Spain, you cannot live by those rules. And the third and final thing I'll say about universities in Spain, especially in Madrid, especially if you are an American, is get ready for the fact that there are no housing plans, there are no dining plans. I've talked about this very briefly in one of the shorter videos that I've made, but I really do want to emphasize the point again, just in case for those in the back if you haven't heard it. In the US, there's a very specific way we go about university, and that is you apply, you understand the fees of the actual university, and you immediately see what the dorming options are and what the food plans are. Because for many of us, we're going to a university that's either in a university town, meaning that if it's like Penn State, for example, there's nothing really surrounding it, it's just the university and the land surrounding it, or it's like Pittsburgh, where it's plunked right in the middle of the center of the city, and you have a lot of things that are around you, but for convenience sake, it's easier to just stay on campus. And as a student who went to the University of Pittsburgh, I knew immediately where I would be living, what my food plan was, and how that would be affecting my tuition costs for the first year. Because we had to have a specific kind of food plan, and we were given specific places that we could live in terms of our dorming options. This wasn't something that we had to fish for. This wasn't something that we were confused about. This was something that was laid out in very clear terms for us, because A, the university wanted us to know exactly what was going on, and B, the university themselves made these amenities for us and wanted to prepare themselves for the influx of new students. And none of this happens in Spain. Absolutely none of it. There is no food plan. There is no dorming plan. You have to do your own work to find if there even are dorms nearby, or ask the university flat out if they have options available for you. And you also have to figure out where the closest grocery store is, because some of the universities will have small little cafeterias, but they're not going to have really huge stands for food, or they're not going to have these really elaborate and amazing kitchens for you to do your own cooking at. It's a university. It's there for education and education only. And it sounds even funny having to say it out loud because as I say it out loud, it feels like common sense. But this was something that I actually wasn't ready for. So if you're anything like me and you don't really know a lot about what life is going to be like in a different country, know this if you don't know anything else. Because instead of everything just being bundled up into one neat tiny little number, and tiny little number could be like 30K a year, it's not tiny, but instead of it being one tiny little number a year, it's multiple little numbers like the tuition cost, where you're going to be living, and the food that you're going to be eating, in addition to all the miscellaneous extra fun things that come with city life. And because I've been living out here already for over a year and a half, I know what my living costs are, I know what my food costs are, I know what my fun costs are. So when it comes to university, it's like, oh, okay, I just add this extra number on, it's not that big of a deal. But if you were to have told me this when I first moved out here, I would have actually started freaking out. I would have been like, what are you talking about? University is already going to be kind of expensive. I'm not going to a public university, so that means that the numbers are going to be, and whenever the numbers are in the States, you typically have some sort of dining plan, some sort of dormitory plan included within that price. Like, for example, at the University of Pittsburgh, I was majoring in neuroscience and minoring in economics. I had a food plan, I had a dorm plan where I was actually living in a single person dorm on campus, and that entire cost for 1 year was $35,000. I don't know whatever that equates to in euros because it changes all the time, but you can do the math and then figure out, oh yeah, that's expensive, but because you have all these other things included. Yes, university in Spain is a lot cheaper because you don't have all those things added onto it, but that also means that as a student, you really do need to prepare yourself for A, saving all that money up, and B, actually finding where you're gonna live and how you're gonna cook your food, etc., etc. So just in case you didn't know any of this, I hope this was helpful and this sheds a little bit more light on the actual university process of coming out and studying in Spain, more specifically Madrid. And again, I do want to say that this is not indicative of all of the university options that are out here because my criteria for school is going to look very different from your criteria of school. And I don't have all the answers because I didn't do the research on the schools that I wouldn't be going to. So I don't know what the other options are, like more public universities or predominantly Spanish speaking universities. But I hope this gives you just a foot in the door of what it's like to actually come out and study in Spain. If you are coming out here as a complete American beginner, you don't know anything, you've never come out here, you don't know what to expect. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you again soon.